What's up, everybody? Just waiting to see if this actually does go live, because Twitter has been a bit of a pain in the backside to us recently and doesn't let us go live for some reason. So I'm messing about here. Yes, and we are live. Good. We're all good to go. No Divanomics, nothing like that. Just Twitter acting up, and it has been acting up on us for a while, to be fair. But looks like I am live now, which is good. Apologies again for being a few minutes late, but I was on time. I was here, I was ready, but yeah, just unfortunately, for some reason, Twitter doesn't like us these days, or YouTube doesn't like us these days, and it just doesn't like me going live for some reason. So yeah, but I am live now. All good, ladies and gentlemen. And look, before we get stuck into tonight's stream, I've got to do the obligatory, of course, Manscaped read. You know, we wouldn't be here without our sponsors, Manscaped. So football is back, and our friends over at Manscaped are here with a masterclass to get you ready for the new season. The leaders in men's grooming have done it again, and they are back with the brand new Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. Join the 2 million men worldwide who use and trust Manscaped with the brand new Performance Package 4.0 by going to manscaped.com and getting 20% off shipping and free delivery by using our discount code WFM20. The Performance Package 4.0 by Manscaped is simply class, and it'll take your grooming game to the next level. That's if you have a grooming game. If you don't have one, then what better way to start than by using the all-new Performance Package 4.0. Inside the package, you receive the 4.0 trimmer, you receive the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, formulations, and 2 free gifts. Yes, 2 free gifts. The 4th generation trimmer features cutting-edge technology, ceramic blades to reduce grooming accident, a 7,000 RPM motor, a 4,000K LED spotlight, and both the trimmer and the ear and nose hair Weed Whacker are both waterproof. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Get yourselves over to manscaped.com. The 2 free gifts that I speak about are the boxers that I've told you guys before, really comfortable boxer briefs, and also the Shed travel bag to keep all of your goodies in. So again, massive thanks to our friends at manscaped.com, and get yourselves over there and use the discount code WFM20. Right, what have we got, ladies and gentlemen? Don't shave your bushes, ladies. I love them, says John Duke. I mean, John, I'm aiming this at men, buddy, but you know, each to their own and all of that. Look, ladies and gentlemen, lots to talk about tonight. Apologies, my voice is a little bit all over the place today. I'm not too well, and I'm struggling to talk. So yeah, I'll get through it as best as I can. So where do we want to start tonight? We can start with the good news that Naby Keita and all of the other internationals that were away with Guinea have managed to board a plane and safely get themselves out of the country, which is good news. But, you know, we do wish, of course, the best to any Ghanaians out there. But Guineans, I should say, excuse me, it's my pronunciation here. But it was great news to see that Naby did get on that flight and will be safely back in Liverpool. Pedri people want to talk about. Right, see, the Pedri situation is interesting. Let me just pull up the stuff on my phone here so I can give you guys a fair shout on what this is all about, because there's a few different people that are linking us with Pedri, and I want to just talk about it a little bit. I'm going through some messages here just to make sure I've got the right information here for you guys. 1 second. Right, so it originates from Spain, I believe, this one. It says Liverpool are interested in signing Barcelona midfielder Pedri next summer, with Jurgen Klopp in love with the 18-year-old. The club are willing to pay €100 million for his services, which would smash the club's previous transfer record. Now, a couple of things on this one, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, why wouldn't we have tried to make that move this summer if that was the case? All of us here, every single one of us, would happily have Pedri at the club. And I'm not saying that it isn't a possibility for the future, but this summer, to me, just my humble opinion, would have been more realistic. Now, there's also another side to this, in that Pedri's current Barcelona contract runs out in 2022, but Barcelona do have an automatic option to extend that by 2 years. And there's also been suggestions that Liverpool are interested in and are keeping an eye on Ansu Fati, who is, of course, another tremendous youngster coming through Barcelona, having made his way through the Barcelona academy system. So it's all great that we're being linked with these players, but like many of you, you know, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And links are great, but we need to see if these links develop into anything down the line, and it is a long way until the next transfer window, and it's an even further way until next summer. So let's wait and see. Barcelona are a bit of a mess financially, as you guys well know. And look, I'm not sitting here saying Liverpool have €100 million to sign Pedri with. That's, you know, I'm just reporting what somebody else has reported and having a conversation about it. I can't see I'd be very surprised if we spend that much money on any footballer, whether it be him, whether it be Jude Bellingham, without a substantial sale, which is the model that we've become used to at Liverpool Football Club under FSG's ownership now. Whether you like that or not, that's up to you to decide. But yeah, get your own youth, says Enrique Mendes. Do you want to cry a little bit more, bitch? Do you want me to call you an ambulance, Enrique? Are you okay there, princess? Do you want me to pat you on the head a little bit? Are you okay? You know, it's not our fault your football club ran itself dreadfully, mate, and into the ground. So if you want to shed them tears and cry, then maybe do it towards your own club, mate. We have our own youth. But would I mind if we went and took your youth? Nah, not at all, princess. Not after the way you shithoused Felipe Coutinho and Luis Suarez out of the club. I bet you weren't feeling so angry then towards Liverpool, mate, were you? When you were coming in and destabilising our players. How's it feel to have the shoe on the other foot now, mate? And by the way, I am a Barca fan, but I'm a Liverpool fan more and more so. And to see you come on and cry and whinge about your youth when you've had generations of success at the club because of Lionel Messi, because of fantastic footballers there. I tell you, I would fucking... Now I want it even more, mate. I mean, I wasn't that arsed before, but now I'd absolutely love it to happen. Just so I could have more whiny little bitches like you coming on crying about getting your own youth. You're in this mess, mate, because your board made an absolute bollocks of transfers, and it's your own fault. So don't come in here and have a pop at us because some random journo links us to one of your players. Unlike you guys who destabilised the shit out of our players and told them it was now or never for their moves, we've got a bit of class about the way we do business, mate. So if Liverpool do come a knocking for Ansu Fati or Pedri, then they could probably do it, make the move, because things aren't looking too tickety-boo at Barcelona for the near future. So have your little whinge at your board, mate, and leave us Liverpool fans to deal with Liverpool business and talk about Liverpool stuff. And do I find it a little bit funny? You bet your fucking ass I do, pal. I sit here laugh my fucking arse off at the state of the way those two clubs in Spain have fallen. Barcelona and Real Madrid, the once mighty. Yeah, taste of your own medicine would be nice. I see a lot of people using that phrase now. Give Barcelona a taste of their own medicine. Yeah, it's great. It's great that the Premier League clubs are in such a strong position. It's great that most of the Premier League clubs are well managed financially. But, you know, these are just links, fella. And, you know, there's no need to spit your dummy out just yet. But if we do come back next summer, you know, I hope to see you back in the chat, mate, where we can all enjoy a little bit of Pedri or Ansu Fati at Liverpool if it comes to fruition. That okay for you, mate? I hope I've addressed all of your ongoing concerns there. The Ireland going brilliant, isn't it? Yeah, look, we're not doing too well. You know, 1-0 down. I have it on in the background there, about to hit the 70th minute. Madrid will be back in no time. Nah, they won't. Florentino Perez lives in Cloud Cuckoo land. Only Florentino Perez exists or believes in the world that Florentino Perez exists in. You know, we still have a situation where they could potentially be thrown out of the Champions League for a couple of years, so I wouldn't be too confident about Real Madrid being back in no time, if I'm being honest with you. They still have potential sanctions to be facing over their refusal to walk away from the Super League fiasco, along with, of course, Barcelona and Juventus, who are still clinging on for dear life to a project that looks to be pretty much dead and buried. Joko Coco said would rather Bellingham than Pedri, as would I, mate. I'm fully on board the Bellingham hype train. The only reason we're even mentioning Pedri today is because of the person that linked Liverpool to the move. I had no intentions of even talking about transfers at all, to be honest with you, because, you know, we've just finished the transfer window. We're frustrated as it is, so I didn't really want to bring up transfers again, but we had to because it's such a big name, and we just wanted to basically say that it's not going to happen. It's one we can put on Bullshit Island, is what I'm trying to say here. I don't see Liverpool spending that much money on Pedri, as good as he is, and he is a fantastic footballer, but like you, I'd much rather we try and put that money towards the likes of a Jude Bellingham, who I think Agent Hendo is still working very well with. So yeah, just a quick one to start off today, ladies and gentlemen. And again, we will move towards Mohamed Salah now, who you know, we're all hoping and waiting to see if he does sign a new Liverpool deal. You know, there's some arguments back and forth about people around the 500 grand mark that's been mentioned, and as I said on last night's stream, I don't think people necessarily understand what money he gets now. You know, people think he's on 200k a week now. He wants 500k a week, according to, I think it was the Mirror, if my memory's right. But, you know, he makes more than 200k a week now. If you look at the bonuses and stuff like I spoke about last night, in actual fact, he probably earns closer to around 300 grand, maybe even a little bit more than that. So we all await with bated breath the hope that Mohamed Salah does sign a new deal and the club can work something out with him, because let's be honest, he's a superstar. We need him at the club. We want him at the club. And I don't know any Liverpool fans that don't want Mohamed Salah to sign a new contract. So let's, you know, hope that the club could get that one over the line. Double wages in Madrid, said Mike Titan. I don't know what that means, mate, but how are they going to pay for these double wages? Do you know what I mean? How are they going to pay for them? Because they've got 750 million or something that they financed to do the new stadium or to revamp the Bernabeu. So yeah, I don't know. They're not in as bad a shape as Barcelona, don't get me wrong. But Madrid, if you look it up, Madrid are in a little bit of a financial mess as well, albeit nowhere near as bad as the current state that Barcelona are in. Greedy agent again, I reckon, said Group 6. See, why I dismissed this, mate, is because last night when we first spoke about, and it's the first chance I had to speak about the Mohamed Salah stuff because I was away when the news broke. But, you know, once I seen the word Salah demands, I knew it was bullshit, because we all know Mohamed Salah. It's not in his nature. That's not the type of person he is to go demanding anything. Of course, in any negotiation, both sides will have a starting point, and I don't know if Remy Abbas or Mohamed Salah's starting point was near the 500 grand. I don't know. But I'm fairly confident that the club will find a middle ground, and it looks to me like Mohamed Salah is a footballer who's very much enjoying his time at Liverpool. You know, he's always challenging for the golden boot. He's banging in goals for fun, playing the best football of his life. He's adored on the top and around Anfield by Liverpool fans around the world. So, you know, why would he want to move, and where else would he get that love and adoration? I don't think he would anywhere else. So, you know, you have to be honest and say, I don't know the situation with his deal, but I'm very hopeful and quite confident that we will get him to sign a new deal, because quite frankly, I think he's at the best club in the world right now. So nowhere else for him to move, really. Salah loves Liverpool, does he not? Absolutely, Tom. That will be my understanding of the case as well. Craig, is it okay if I skip the stream? Buddy, you do you. If you're busy, you're busy, man. Thanks for just popping in and saying hi anyway. Watching the Irish game in pain, said David O'Sullivan. Buddy, I have it on in the background here behind me, David, behind the monitor here that I'm looking and talking to you guys on. And yeah, it's a similar situation, isn't it? You know, a lot of good stuff, a lot of huffing and puffing, but no real breakthrough. But, you know, I still believe in the process with Stephen Kenny, and the problems at the FAI go a lot further down the line than just Stephen Kenny, to be fair. Young Irish keeper's having a great game, said Brian. He is. He's, I believe, if my memory's right, he's a Manchester City player, but he's on loan at Portsmouth, I think, for the season. And yeah, he's a cracking keeper, to be fair. I've been very impressed by him, but what I've seen of him. Craig, you sound under the weather. Hope you're okay. I'm really not well, mate, to be honest with you, but it's not unusual. A couple of days after I fly home from somewhere, I usually pick up this kind of sore throat and nasally stuff, and pretty much right on cue I woke up today feeling like crap, but it is what it is. We battle on, do you know what I mean? Frank Kessie from AC Milan on a free is the best choice by far, said Russell. Yeah, there's been loads of links to Premier League clubs, Russell, to Frank Kessie, and you are right, he has turned down the latest contract offer from AC Milan. And I've seen a list the other day. I think I spoke about it on stream. I'm looking at my phone now to see if I have it. I do actually have it. So here's a list of some players in Serie A whose contracts expire next summer. Paulo Dybala, Frank Kessie, Insigne, Brozovic, Pellegrini, Bellotti, Freuler, Romagnoli, Boga, Luis Felipe, Cuadrado, Mkhitaryan, Bernardeschi, Strakosha and Perisic. Some very good players there out of contract. And, you know, Frank Kessie does love AC Milan. He's been very open and speaking about that, but that hasn't stopped the links appearing to the likes of Liverpool, Spurs and a couple of other Premier League clubs. And sometimes, you know, you wonder, are these links genuine, or is it maybe Frank Kessie or his agent trying to get a better deal for the client? Because what I've read, it seems that Frank Kessie is very happy in Milan and has plans to stay there longer term, but he is certainly out of contract at the end of the season, that much is true. Do I see us having another injury crisis this season? I hope not, and certainly I don't think we'll have one to the extent that we did last year. I mean, that was just it was just a perfect storm of everything going wrong, wasn't it? I mean, you lose your two first choice centre backs, and then you lose your third choice centre back, and then you're down to, you know, Nat Phillips and Ozan Kabak, or Nat Phillips and Reece Williams at times. And, you know, I still can't believe that the lads were actually able to dig in, grind it out, and finish third and get themselves that spot in the Champions League. I mean, I'm still in awe of the fact that they were able to do that they were able to dig so deep, and that Alisson scored that header. And yeah, it's just, it was amazing. I still, you know, that's why I hate to ever doubt this group, because every time they're doubted, they just come back and show what they're made of. What would you have as your last meal if you were on death row? That's really freaky, John. I was interviewing Rory O'Connor. You guys might know him as Rory Stories earlier on for Craig Station, and that's going to be out next week, by the way. And I was doing some pre-questions for Rory, some quick-fire questions, and that was going to be one of the questions I asked him, but I kind of reworded it a bit. And do you know what, mate? I've thought about this quite a bit, John, and here's what I do. I'd have barbecue pork ribs for starters, because, you know, if it's your last meal, you're going out full, you know what I mean? For my main course then, I think I'd have a Sunday roast. You know, mashed potatoes, roast beef, Yorkshire pudding, and of course, me being me, beans. And then for dessert, probably a caramel cheesecake, something like that, mate. But, you know, I'd be going out on top, buddy. I'd be going out even fatter than I am now, mate. Would probably throw a milkshake in there as well. Thank you for the super chat, by the way, John. Really appreciate it. And Liz as well, lovely to see you back in. I hope yourself and your hubby are well. May you all have a sweet and joyful new year. Happy Rosh Hashanah. Sending light and love to you all. I don't understand what that is, Liz, but as always, you're just spreading positive vibes, my friend, and that's always good with me. Hi, Goat, said Sam. How are you, Sam? Lovely to see you in. Dara, as always, pleasure. Our chief moderator, Dara, is easy in the chat, as always. Anything moderator-wise, go to Dara with your questions. If we sold Salah, what do you think FSG would do with the money? To be fair, you know, I'm the first one to jump on and stick the boot into FSG. Now, I don't want us to sell Salah, of course, Dara, and I know you don't as well, but if we did sell Salah, I would have to be fair and say I think they'd give the money back to Jurgen Klopp to reinvest. Now, none of us want to sell Mo, let's put that out there straight and at the front, but I do get the feeling that, you know, whatever happens next summer, I do think we'll end up selling somebody to fund some of these moves. I mean, that's kind of the way the club is run. And it's easy for us to stick the boot into FSG at times. And look, I'm here to do that quite often, actually. But, you know, we have had success with that model. And it would also be, I think, ignorant of us not to at least acknowledge the success that we've had. And, you know, I put a lot of the success, of course, down to Jurgen Klopp and the recruitment team. But the recruitment team and Jurgen Klopp were put in place by the owners, but, you know, that doesn't stop a lot of our views, and rightly so, that we think we should have added a couple of bodies this summer. So, yeah, I do think whoever we sell, I think we'll probably see that money reinvested in the squad. I'd seen something on the Echo earlier on, actually, about a potential 170 million squad makeover that might cost nothing, and again, it was wrong, because it was talking about Liverpool potentially getting Pedri on a free when he's not available on a free. His contract with Barcelona runs at the end of next season, or the end of this season, but Barcelona have a 2-year contract extension that they can trigger at any point they want. So I found that odd to see that they're trying to say that we could get this revamped squad, and Ansu Fati they named as well as another one of those Barca youngsters that Liverpool could perhaps get for free. I can't remember off the top of my head who the third one was, but I thought it was very disingenuous, because in the same thread, or in a different thread on the same website, The Echo, that's where I found the information telling me that he had 2-year extension that Barcelona could trigger at any point. So how can you put on one thread that Liverpool could do this £170 million rebuild for free, or add free transfers, and then in another part show, well, no, they can't, because Barcelona have that option to give him a 2-year extension? I just found it very weird. Would I sell Firmino for Bellingham? Of the front three, I kind of go back and forth between Sadio or Bobby. Which one I think for me it would come down to not the fact that I don't like either of them. I absolutely love Sadio Mane and Roberto Firmino. But I think it would come down to how both of them fare this season. Because there was signs last year that both of them have dropped off a little bit. I mean, Sadio obviously didn't score as many goals as he would have wanted to, and Bobby Firmino looked a little bit jaded at times. But again, it's important to remember that they played football for nearly 2 years without a break. So one of them, I would suggest, will probably be sold next summer. And, it's not my place to have a guess at who that might be. But yeah, I think the feeling amongst most of us is that we may see one of them sacrificed to help with a squad rebuild or a squad overhaul. FSG only want players with 150 to 200k max, said Russell. All the Barca players would want huge wages. Well, look, yeah, I suppose, let's take Ansu Fati as an example. So if his contract is up at the end of the summer and Liverpool were in from, or any club were in from, let's just, use him as an example. You would imagine that he'd know how good he is, his agent would know how good he is, and that there would probably be a hefty signing on fee, and as you said, probably rather big wages. But there's a great thread, by the way, by the Swiss Ramble. I know a lot of you guys who are on Twitter definitely know who the Swiss Ramble is. It's a really heavy going thread, but it's an excellent thread around Liverpool's finances. And I have to say, look, I learned a lot from it. And it explained why we didn't spend so much money this summer. Now, people are going to come at me and say, oh yeah, John W. Henry liked that post by the Swiss Ramble, yada, yada, yada. Fair enough. Doesn't mean it's wrong, though. Do you know what I mean? I've often said to you, I have my opinions on stuff, but I'm always willing to bow down to somebody who is far more qualified than me in any area. And Swiss Ramble is a football finance expert, a guru, some might say. So if you get a chance, do go on and read the thread around Liverpool, because it makes for very interesting reading, and it might make for the happiest of reading, because I won't say that I finished the thread and I was too optimistic about things, but it certainly explained to me, an idiot like me, why the club's finances are the way they are because of the route the owners have taken to do the things that we've done. So, again, trying to just keep balance. I'd urge you guys to give a read if you can. Please explain. Oh, honestly, Chris, I couldn't even begin to explain it. That's what I'm saying to you. Go and have a read of it, because I wouldn't do it justice if I tried to explain it. But look, this doesn't mean my stance has changed, by the way. I will reiterate what I've said before. There was no coming back for me for FSG after the Super League. That was the end for me. I've got no trust. But I'm also trying to be a balanced and fair person and say that it hasn't all been negative and some things are done for a reason. So, that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to help bridge this divide between Liverpool fans, because it hurts me to see it. We all want the same thing, whether we're born in Timbuktu or we're born in Liverpool too. We all want the same thing, don't we? We want the club to be successful. We're grateful for the manager we have. But it can get frustrating, of course, when we see other clubs doing business, and, you see the success that we've had. And Swiss Ramble, in this brilliant thread, does give the reasoning behind why we are the way we are. Jamrock said, Swiss Ramble uses FSG financial statements. I don't understand what you mean by that, mate. Again, not saying what you're saying is a bad thing or a good thing, or I just don't understand what you're saying. Whose financial statement should he be using if he doesn't, if you get me? Surely he can only use the club's published accounts to make his threads. Again, I'm not saying that's right or that's wrong. I'm just saying he uses the information he has to hand. So I don't know if maybe you're suggesting that he's being disingenuous, or that there is information that we don't have, in which case, that would be very interesting, and I think we'd all like to see that. I'm just saying that Swiss Ramble is somebody who is far better qualified than me to speak about these things. So, I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. We all want signings. We all want the club to do well. I'm just, yes! Sorry. Own goal, 1-1. Go on, Ireland. 1-1, own goal at the Aviva. Go on. Sorry, lads. It's for people who don't believe it's real. Oh, excuse me, Jamrock, mate. Jamrock, apologies, mate. I love, by the way, I don't want to say that you're a new contributor, because, you may have been around before, buddy, but I love your attitude. I have to say, I love the fact that you'll challenge me. You'll be, you're very good with giving information. And I've learned a lot from having you on board, buddy. So, like I've said to you before, I appreciate your input. We might not always agree on things, mate, but that's all right. We need different voices and different opinions to make the platform work. TMC said, Craig, I feel that the Euro Super League is still lurking in the background for some reason. It probably will always be lurking in the background to some extent, mate. You know, UEFA have conceded a lot of the things that the clubs in the Super League wanted. So the competition has been increased from 32 teams to 36. It's now got that Swiss system in place where, let's be honest, it's very complicated to try and figure out. And it does lean in favour of clubs who have, let's call them legacy clubs, clubs who have qualified or done better or been in the Champions League in the past. It does show some favouritism towards those clubs, and there is other ways around it. A qualification if you were to miss out via the league and stuff. You know, there are other avenues for clubs to do. So what I would say is I think UEFA have been aware of that. There is, of course, the challenge that's going to be coming up in the Court of Appeals in Luxembourg, which we all wait to see how the ruling is on that one. But yeah, I think in some form or another, this has been around for like 20 years or something in the background, and people have always tried to look at not reincarnate it in some way. And look, it's hard to talk about this because none of us sit here and think that UEFA are perfect or FIFA are perfect. No, they're as fucking corrupt as the rest of them. You know, they all look out for number one in these scenarios, and, you know, they all make out like there's some bastion of morality for the football fans. But, you know, UEFA and FIFA have had their own share of scandals over the past few years, and we're all aware of what they are. So I guess, you know, as fans, we just want the best for the game, really, don't we? And not what's best for us today. We need to think about the next generation of football fans and the generation after that, and not just be so narrow-minded to just think about our clubs that are at the very top of the pyramid as well. You seem to have changed the tune about FSG. I literally just said 2 minutes ago. See, this is what pisses me off, man. I literally said 2 minutes ago, dude, that I haven't changed my stance on FSG. The Super League was it for me. There was no coming back, and that won't change. If you're to say to me, Craig, are you FSG in or FSG out? I'm FSG out. But I'm FSG out with some caveats to it. Because I don't believe for 1 minute that there's, you know, a goody two-shoes multi-billionaire out there waiting to buy us who only has the best intentions. I'm well aware that FSG have many flaws, dude. But they're not the worst owners in the world. And for this divide to be bridged, we need to concede that. We need to concede that they haven't done everything badly. They've made mistakes. They've done a lot of shit wrong. And I would rather we had other owners. I would. But I haven't changed my tune, mate. I'm just trying to stop the divide and try and have an adult conversation around the points and the good sides and the bad sides. Jamrock, how are you, buddy? Again, thank you for the super chat. Said, what it shows is that LFC have been mismanaged since the inception of the Premier League, and FSG has been steadily closing the revenue gap that existed. COVID hurt. It's a fair point. And again, I'm going to sound like a bit of an apologist for a moment here, but I cannot argue with facts. That is factually correct. You look at the divide that was also Manchester United. Look at the financial gulf that was there before FSG took over. Look at the amount of commercial partnerships and stuff that they've brought on. Now, this all has to be done, of course, to try and play catch-up. And we're still playing catch-up. But it's spot on. I don't disagree with what you've said. COVID has hurt us. Some of those losses have been covered up by the Redbird acquisition of 11% of FSG's holdings. And that money, some of it has been used to patch over the losses during COVID. And that's why I tell people to read that Swiss Ramble thread, because it explains it way better than I could ever. And I wouldn't even attempt at it because, you know, that work deserves to be read by people themselves and not have an idiot like me just kind of, you know, waffle about it. The European Super League is the formation of the Premier League repeating itself. I wonder though, Jamrock, mate, if, like, with the Premier League, at least we have relegation promotion. And look, you know, we do view football through Premier League lenses as Liverpool fans. You know, the Premier League has caused a massive gulf in finances between the clubs at the top and the clubs down in the Championship, League 1 and League 2. So while the Premier League was great for the top clubs, you know, is it the greatest thing for the greater good of the sport? Probably not. But yet we are where we are. And, you know, no matter what we say about Super Leagues or Champions Leagues or Premier Leagues, the thing that really hurts me is that football is just being moved away from its working class roots. It's been moved away from being affordable for the average man and woman and child. And that's the part of it that hurts me the most. It's been turned into an entertainment business and it's no longer really a sport. So I think that's what hurts us all. You know, we're having to buy 2-3 shirts a year for your kids, or going to games have become more expensive. Season tickets are gold dust. So yes, it's difficult. Excuse me, folks. I just need to cough, so I'm just going to mute my mic for a sec. My apologies. How are they not as bad as Glazers? Very simple. I mean, I can explain that. Even I can explain that one to you. So, FSG came in and bought Liverpool with their own money. Now, they bought a distressed asset. They bought an undervalued asset that they seen that they could obviously create a lot of money from. But the Glazers leveraged Manchester United to buy it. So basically, think of it as them going to a bank and taking out a mortgage against the value of the club. And then they have to pay that back. Along with that, they have shareholders and they have to pay dividends to those shareholders. Whereas at Liverpool, FSG use their own cash. There's no debt on the club from the ownership, like from buying the club. There's no debt on the club. And they came in and they've loaned the club the money for the stand, the main stand, the Annie Road extension, Kirby and all of that stuff. Now, the club's finances will pay back those loans, of course. But I'm just trying to give you, again, a well-rounded picture. And the Glazers are also just, you know, milking that. If you look at how much money United generate, like, they should be able to spend a lot more than they do on transfers. FSG really don't care much, but at least they're better than the Glazers and Kroenke. Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with you on both of that. I don't think they give a shit really either, but I would also agree with you that they probably are better custodians than the Glazers and the Kroenkes. Craig, you're the best channel, 100%. Thank you, mate. Much love. Appreciate it. I'd rather have some oil tycoon buying us who would invest. I wouldn't, to be honest with you, mate. I'd rather have the type of owner we have, but with a little bit more, not being as risk averse as they are. I'd like them to maybe roll the dice a little bit more, have a little bit more expenditure. But then again, I don't understand football finances as well as others, so I guess I'm playing catch up on that front as well. But I don't want the sugar daddy, because I tell you what, let's say Abramovich tomorrow called in his debt at Chelsea, and they do owe him a lot of money. If he called in his debt at Chelsea and started asset stripping that club, what could they do? They'd be absolutely screwed. At least Liverpool is on a healthy footing financially. You know, we can talk about not being able to compete. We can argue with the owners on that point. Absolutely. I'll be the first one in the queue. But, you know, we are in a safe position. We do have to at least acknowledge that. Man United and Co are borrowing money for all these big signings. We're run better. Agreed. Exactly. Now, that's not to say I'm not against the owners for something. I absolutely am. And as I said, I am still in a stance of I am FSG out. But I'm FSG out if the right owners become available. Because I've seen so many football clubs being bought by oligarchs or, you know, multi-billionaires who treat them as their playthings, get bored of them, and then leave them there. Look at what happened at Malaga. Look at what happened at Monaco. Look at what happened, I think, that club, Anji, I can't pronounce the name, in Russia. They were all bought to be a rich person's plaything, and they fell apart. Do you remember Dubai Investment Capital looked at buying Liverpool at one point? Well, they're now defunct. They don't exist. So, you know, we do need and would probably benefit from new owners. I'll be the first one to come on here and say that. But it has to be the right type of owners, because there's so many people out there who will just look at this as a cash cow, because the days of local boy done good goes boys football club are over. The only people that have the money to buy a football club now are either oligarchs, state-backed entities, or hedge funds or venture capital funds. They're the only people that really have the money, and in each one of those, they'll all have their own reasons for wanting the club to progress and do well. Some of them to PR for their country. Some of them, it's just cash. So, I guess it's a matter of what compromises we as Liverpool fans are going to be willing to make. And that's a question for another day, because it looks like FSG aren't going anywhere anytime soon. at least from what I've been reading, and reading the stuff on Redbird and their acquisition of 11% and the plans for media rights and streaming and gaming and all that kind of stuff. They believe that there's more revenue to be tapped, and they, by their own words, would like a 2 to 2.5 times return on their investment within 4 to 6 years. That's their words, not mine. And they're not things we like to hear. That doesn't excite us as football fans, because why the fuck would it? You know, we want Liverpool to win trophies. We only care about the players and the manager and the support staff. And to me, the question that I said at the start of the transfer window, and the question that I always put to myself before every window is, have we ended this window stronger than we started it? And I'd say no. We did not end this transfer window stronger than we started it. And therefore, to me, this window was a failure. So I'm not all happy FSG. Far from it. I just don't want this divisiveness in our fan base. We need to have an adult, grown-ass conversation about things. 1975 Jamrock again, thank you for the super chat, my man. Said, long weekend television convinced Liverpool, United, Spurs, Everton and Arsenal to break away from the Football League for money. They left smaller clubs to suffer. I don't disagree with you. And I've said this before, we are very fortunate that our clubs, the club that we've supported for whatever reason, whether it be where you're born, your brother, your family, your own way of falling in love with it, we are in a very financially enviable position to many football clubs. Like, look at what's happened to Leeds at one point. Look at what happened to Bolton Wanderers. Bury went out of business. Look at what happened with Portsmouth. These are all clubs who rolled the dice and went a little bit too far with their finances and ended up in a perilous position. Some of them not in existence anymore. Some of them in existence in a different way. I'd rather have the Glazers than FSG. At least they spend. Mate, but that's... How do I say this? Because they have so much more means to spend. Like, if you actually look at how much the Glazers could and should be spending, it's a lot more than they are spending. Like, look at Old Trafford. Fucking leaking. Old Trafford. With all the money United bring in. And it leaks. Look at how much money they've taken out of the club. Look at how much money they pay back every single year on loan interest repayments. So, you say the Glazers at least spend. Maybe. But they haven't spent a fucking penny of their own money. They're only just milking Manchester United and paying off dividends to shareholders as well. So, if Liverpool had the type of money that Manchester United generate, I'm telling you now, we'd be buying a lot more players. At least we have centre-back depth. That's definitely true. I mean, you know, I was a bit confused on the last day of the transfer window around the whole Nat Phillips situation. Like, we all love Nat Phillips for what he did for us, but we'd also been told categorically that Nat Phillips was available to be moved on, even the day of the transfer window closing. And then all of a sudden, we see Nat Phillips signing a new deal, which is sound. And none of us have any arguments about that. But it is a bit of a mixed message from being available to be moved on at the start of the day, and then at the end of the day, we're suddenly announcing Nat Phillips as a new contract along with Hendo. That was bad form, in my eyes. I mean, Jordan Henderson should have had his own day. It shouldn't have been thrown in around transfer deadline day to try and appease fans, because it didn't work. None of us fell for it. We seen it coming a mile away. Craig, do you think the AC Milan fans will behave at Anfield next week? I should hope so, mate. I mean, is there anything to suggest that they won't? Again, you know, for people unaware as well, UEFA have made it so that travelling fans can can go to games in this season's European competitions. Obviously, they have to adhere by the local authorities' regulations around COVID and stuff, but that blanket ban has been lifted by UEFA over away fans going and attending games in the European competition, Champions League, Europa Conference League. So, you know, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they will behave themselves, and if they don't, then, you know, the authorities are there to deal with it. Who would you like to have signed? Said Callum. Callum, excuse me. Sorry, Callum, mate. It's Callum. Who would I like to have signed? I think most of us were realistic going into the window, mate. I think, you know, we've seen the names thrown around like Saul. We've seen the names thrown around like Neuhaus. For me, Yves Bissouma, right, you know, straight away would have been a very good Genie replacement, in my opinion, and probably would have got him for around 40 million quid, maybe something like that. in the wide forward or attacking position, again, trying to be realistic, Harvey Barnes, love the lad. You know, I've told you guys for the longest time we were monitoring and looking at Harvey Barnes, but he has signed a new contract at Leicester, but I still think we'll continue to look at him. Pedro Neto, I believe we may have looked a little bit further at if he hadn't had an injury. But then there was the obvious ones as well that were linked widely and far and wide. Jared Bowen, of course, at West Ham. But then the one that stood out to me was Jeremy Doku, because we know Liverpool have a long-held interest in Jeremy Doku. And again, it seems like he'd rather have one more year in France with Ron before he makes the next step. Why is it that Liverpool cannot compete financially with United, said John Duke? That's a very loaded question, mate. But basically, as Jamrock pointed out earlier on, we're playing catch-up. And we have been playing catch-up for a long time. Man United shot out of the gates ahead of the rest of the clubs in the English Premier League. And they just generated so much money with the expansion of Old Trafford back when they did, to the success that they've had, to being able to get the type of corporate deals that they have. You know, they're one of the first, I believe, with shirt sponsorship deals for training gear. So they've just been really good at exploiting commercial opportunities before clubs like Liverpool even realised. So, to the best of my knowledge, I think at one point Liverpool's online sales were being leased out to another company. And as I pointed out to you before, the day after Istanbul, club shop was closed. Now, you couldn't fathom a situation now where that would happen. But that's just the little differences. Liverpool were this kind of boutique family club in the way it was run. Whereas Manchester United became this behemoth that was listed on the stock exchange, and, you know, fans could buy shares from around the world, and there's just so many corporate opportunities there. And they, you know, in fairness to them, they took them and turned themselves into the money-making juggernaut that they are now. United's made over 2 billion sterling more than Liverpool since the induction of the Premier League, said Jamrock. Thank you for that one, pal. Craig, what's going on with this ban for fans? I don't know what that means, Carter. I'm not sure what you mean by the ban for fans, mate. Yeah, sorry. I don't know what you mean by that. There was something else I wanted to bring up, actually, on my notes here. 1 second. It's on Neuhaus. So there's been articles going around today again via the Mirror that suggest that it was actually Jurgen Klopp who made the decision not to go and put in a bid or try to sign Florian Neuhaus of Borussia Mönchengladbach. He scored 16 goals and had 20 assists in 120 appearances for Mönchengladbach. But yeah, this report said that it was actually Jurgen Klopp that made the decision not to sign Neuhaus, and it wasn't the player that turned us down, or the player that, you know, had the move lined up for Bayern Munich like many of us believed. And again, I can't tell you if this is true or not. I can just tell you it's being reported in the Mirror that, you know, Jurgen Klopp was the one who made the decision not to pursue Florian Neuhaus. Grim Jimbo, how are you, buddy? Said, now then, Craig, lad, nice to see you doing well and looking deadly as always. Top man, Grim Jimbo. Thank you, mate. I feel like shy today, buddy. You can probably hear it in my voice. Yeah. But I couldn't not come on because, you know, having taken a few days away, I miss you guys when I don't stream. So I've been ill all day, but looking forward to it all day. And again, ladies and gentlemen, please do take a second. Drop a like on the stream. We've only got 100 and something likes. Come on, there's nearly 650 people in the chat now. Take a second, like the stream. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. And again, a shout out to our sponsors. Manscaped.com. You can get yourself 20% off absolutely anything, including the all-new Performance Package 4.0 at Manscaped.com by using our discount code WFM20. That gets you 20% off anything on the site, free delivery, and it doesn't even matter if it's already on sale. The code will still work. I'm not buying that. I don't know what that is, mate. So, again, I need more context rather than I'm not buying that. Because here's a little secret to you, pal. I'm not fucking selling nothing. I don't want you to buy. I don't know what... We're not talking about Manscaped here, obviously. We're talking about an opinion. And I'm not trying to fucking sell you an opinion. I'm just giving you my thoughts. If you disagree with my thoughts, let's have a conversation about it. I've liked and subbed, been for quite a few months now, said Corey. Thank you, mate. Chris Young said, Craig, what's your thoughts on Saka from Arsenal? They're never going to get in top four. Good young English talent. I would have loved to have signed him before he signed that deal with them. I said it at the time. I mean, I'd love Liverpool to have gone in and tried to nick him out from under Arsenal's noses, but he signed the contract at Arsenal, and, you know, I've no doubts he will be a great player, and, you know, he's contracted to Arsenal now, which means that any transfer fee would be pretty goddamn huge, I'd say. So I'd say it's one that we can forget about for the time being, but I would have loved to have had him before he signed the contract at Arsenal. How do you get the LFAC signs? I don't know what that is. What's LFAC? Midfield of Fabinho, Jude Bellingham, Bissouma and Harvey Elliott, said Banglis. Yeah, look, I'd love Jude Bellingham to come in. I really would, because we're going to probably lose James Milner at the end of this season. So, you know, Henderson will be another year older as well. Thiago's obviously there. So, yeah, I'd love Jude Bellingham to come in and have himself, Curtis Jones, Hendo, Thiago, Fabinho, Harvey Elliott, who's now been used in midfield, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain as well, and obviously Naby Keita. So, let's see what happens. But what we do know for certain is we are playing Leeds at 4:30 on Sunday. We'll be doing a preview for that later on in the week. That'll be going out on probably the day before the game as well. I'm going to be joined tomorrow night by Jack Gill. So actually, if I'm not well enough, Jack will do the stream on his own. But the plan is that, you know, I'll be here with Jack tomorrow night. And then on Thursday night at 8:45, myself, Jack Gill and Steve Bland will be back with another Cop the Week podcast, or live podcast. Is Milner retiring? I don't know if he'll retire, mate, but, you know, I think this will be the last season for him at Liverpool. But I don't know if he'll retire or not. That's entirely up to James Milner. Van Dijk down injured in the Holland game. Well, again, mate, you know, I'll discuss that tomorrow as and when we've got more information on it. There's no point in me talking about it now when I don't have the information to hand about it. And of course, we're all waiting to find out what the situation is around Bobby Firmino as well, because I'm sure Jurgen Klopp will give an update in his press conference ahead of the Leeds game. But as of yet, we've still got no information on the severity of Bobby Firmino's injury. We know Harvey Elliott was withdrawn from the under-21 squad as a precautionary measure, and, you know, the club are hopeful that he'll be available for the game against Leeds. Takumi Minamino, he's a little bit more of a doubt. I think he obviously had to withdraw from the Japan squad because of injury he picked up, and it looks like he may be a little bit more serious than Harvey Elliott from what the guesstimations are anyway in the media. Jamrock, again, thank you for the super chat, dude. Said the issue we have now is that fans who have opposing views can't think of a scenario where there could be other possible answers to what they believe. That is so, again, this is what I'm trying to say, mate. People, if you say anything positive about FSG, you're an apologist. If you say anything negative about them, you're an FSG out nutcase. Whereas the truth lies in the middle, probably, with most of us. We acknowledge the good, we critique the bad, but we do need, as you've said, to try and find a way forward. We need to try and find a solution. Because the last thing any of us want or need is a divided fan base. So, yeah, I know I take my role in this, as small as it might be, but I take it very seriously, because I don't want to be spreading hate or negativity anywhere. I want to try and work off as much factual stuff as we can and learn and teach as we go along, because, you know, whatever we like or dislike, they are the owners of the football club. We do have to try and find a way to become successful again, and it would be disingenuous of me to just come on here and be all one way or all the other. You know, I take the good with the bad and I try and talk about them. Every sports team has divided fans to a certain degree. I think that's true, mate, but at Liverpool, I think it can be a little bit worse at times for a few reasons. Some of them, and again, there's a really good video that's going to be coming out as soon as this stream films. It's a 13-minute clip taken from last night's stream where I go into more detail on the divide between Liverpool fans and how I think, you know, a lot of it is just misconceptions about the other side. So again, please do watch that. I hope you've got your notifications on. That'll be going live as soon as this stream finishes. But we are divided, mate. Yeah, and I think sometimes we're divided more than other fan bases because, you know, I feel like often we're turned on each other because of the lack of tickets or other stuff beyond our control that has us all frustrated. And when you're frustrated, you lash out. And when you lash out, you usually lash out at people that are the polar opposite to the stance that you've taken. Are players getting injured in international duty bad luck or a lack of preparation by the coaches? Again, there's no one answer here. Some of the setups, yes, it could be. Liverpool will, of course, provide tailored information on their players' training or what they would like or how they've been training up to date. But it is up to each individual country, of course, as to how they use the players, how many minutes they have. Like Van Dijk, as an example, he wasn't used at all in the second game of the international break by Holland. He didn't play any minutes, so he was rested from that game because they know he was coming back from injury, and then he was used for tonight's game. Now, people are saying he picked up a knock tonight. We'll talk about that tomorrow when we've got some information on it. Great news to see Jota on fire, scoring goals as well for Portugal. Not great from an Irish perspective, obviously, but great to see Diogo doing well. What score was the game? 1-1. If we're talking about the Ireland game, Callum, it was 1-1. Craig Gavin Bazunu is going straight to the top. He's a Manchester City player, mate. He's on loan at Portsmouth, but Manchester City are his parent club, and I do agree with you. He's a fantastic goalkeeper, as is, of course, Aaron Queevy and Kelleher. Christy One Boy said, I love Liverpool, coming from a Celtic fan. Thank you, mate. There's a lot of good connections there between the two clubs. I'm going to have to call it a night, ladies and gentlemen. I can hardly breathe as it is, and I have no voice left anymore. So, as I said, I hope to be here tomorrow. If I'm not, Jack Gill will be here in my place, but it will be around 9 o'clock again tomorrow, maybe even a little bit later. Don't forget, there's a 13-minute video coming up as soon as this stream ends. Make sure your notifications are on. It basically talks about the divide in our fan base, and I try and just show both sides that, we've got a lot in common, and I hope you take a chance to watch it and give me your views on it. Apologies, I was a bit off colour tonight, but, not feeling the May West, so it is what it is. Lots of love to you all. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the video, and I will see you guys very soon. If not tomorrow, then I will be here on Thursday with Steve Bland and Jack Gill for the Cop the Week stream. Lots of love to you all. Thank you to everyone for your contributions tonight, and I will talk to you guys soon.